Greetings to everyone out there in the No DQ galaxy. Welcome to No DQ Live here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift NoDQ. We are coming off the greatest Royal Rumble of all time, in name only. I'm not sure if it was even close to the greatest Royal Rumble of all time compared to the other Royal Rumbles, but it was still an interesting show. But here's my basic take on it. It was, in fact, as some of us expected, a glorified house show with WrestleMania production values. That's what it was, in my opinion. There were a few key moments, which I will get to. I will break down this entire show. Tom McCarthy with the first Super Chat donation, $2. What does WWE stand for? We want Elias, I guess. World's worst entertainment. Some of you out there that are very negative might think that. Let's go ahead and break down the show. I have a lot to talk about here, so bear with me. This will be a long review. Cindy jumped in with a $2 donation saying a well-deserved winner, eh? We will talk about that. So the show opened up with the national anthems for both Saudi Arabia and the United States, and then there was a huge pyro display, maybe even bigger than WrestleMania. I know WrestleMania had a lot of pyro, but it felt like the Greatest Royal Rumble perhaps had even more pyro. At least that's just my feeling watching it. I like the camera angles that WWE had for this show. There were some different ones than usual that I thought were pretty cool. Hab Connor with the $2 Super Chat donation. Hey Aaron, I'm back. Caleb Jacobs, $2.30. The Davaris had massive heat, the Iranian flag. By the way, guys, if you're going to send Super Chat donations, please try to stick to the topic here. We're going one match at a time. We're going to break down the pay-per-view. That way I don't go off course and go back and forth between different topics. We're going to go one match at a time in order as this card progresses. So first, we are going to talk about John Cena, Triple H. Any Super Chat donations, please talk about Cena versus Triple H right now. John Cena came out, big pop from the crowd, no audible John Cena sucks chants. There were kids on the stage for his entrance. I believe it was similar to WrestleMania 25. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was WrestleMania 25 with the kids, but I'm not really that sure about it. I don't remember, to be perfectly honest. I guess that would be a good wrestling trivia challenge question. Cena had fireworks for his entrance. Triple H came out, big entrance. Actually, Triple H came out first. Cena came out second. So Triple H was the first guy to come out for this show. It was a very old school style match. It reminded me a lot, actually, of Hogan versus the Warrior from WrestleMania 6. El Scorpio left a $2 Super Chat donation. I'm sorry, but Titus stole the show. We will get to Titus, believe me. Believe that. We will get to Titus O'Neil soon. But let's talk about Triple H and John Cena. Hot crowd. The crowd was into this match. It did have that Warrior Hogan vibe from WrestleMania 6. They even did a test of strength. It was a very basic match, and I feel like a lot of the matches on this show were very basic. Like I said, it had the feel of a glorified house show, but I will talk more about the matches as this video progresses. So many people are just caught up with Titus O'Neil and his big botch on this show. There were quite a few. There were quite a few epic botches on this show. One that was really sad, actually, but we'll get to that here in a few minutes. Yeah, everyone in the chat room is just talking about Titus slipping. So I'm not sure what that says about the Greatest Royal Rumble when the highlight of the pay-per-view was Titus O'Neil slipping for his entrance. And TGS brought up another one, Whisper in the Botch. But anyways, let's get back to Triple H and Cena. Of course, Triple H had to kick out. He just had to. He had to kick out of 1AA because 1AA never gets the job done. It's a signature move, not a finishing move, damn it. John Cena did, however, pick up the victory, as I expected he would. Afterwards, John Cena got on the mic, cut a quick promo, put over Saudi Arabia and said he was very honored to be at the event. And that was that. Just a basic match showcasing two WWE stars. Next, we had Cedric Alexander versus Kalisto, aka Good Lucha Things. Very basic match, although Kalisto did try to do some impressive things. He had some innovative offense, I'll give him that. Unfortunately, the crowd really did not care. One other thing about this show, it felt like the crowd only cared about the big stars. When you had guys out there like Cedric Alexander and Kalisto, the crowd was very quiet. It seemed like the crowd only cared about the entrances and the big characters, and that was it. Maybe that's because there were a lot of casual fans there. That very well could be a reason. Not a lot of hardcore wrestling fans. I think a problem with this show, of course, was that you had a lot of the hardcore fans that were in the cheap seats, the upper deck areas, because of the way the tickets were being sold, where only families could sit up close. And of course, the Saudi Arabian families, royalty, whatever, they were at the ringside area. Very, very weird configuration, by the way, of the floor, just reserved for the royalty and the important people, I guess. And the floor was quite empty. I mean, it felt like 75% of the floor had no seats. And the people that did have seats had those really comfy plush chairs. So it was really interesting. It was a very different vibe from a usual WWE show. Not a lot of chants, but I could hear some chants. Again, it felt like they were coming from the upper decks of the arena where the hardcore fans were, and most of the casuals were closer to the ring with the families and whatnot. It seemed like WWE was trying to find people in the crowd that would react to what was going on, because when you looked out at the wide shots, you really didn't see the people reacting all that much, but there were scattered people here and there that were jumping up and down and very excited, but for the most part, not a lot of reaction to what was going on in the ring. Anyways, Cedric Alexander retained the title. I give Kalisto credit for doing a couple of innovative things, but very average match in my opinion. Next up, we had Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt versus The Bar for the vacant Raw Tag Team titles. Again, it was a standard match. The Bar dominated early on. Bray Wyatt got the hot tag. There was a cool moment. Sheamus went for the brogue kick, but Wyatt did his sit-up pose. Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, again, expected. They picked up the win to score the victory and become the new tag team champions on this show. The Woken Warriors, or the, what was the other phrase? Now I forgot the other phrase for those guys. Somebody might have to help me on this one. The Deleter of Worlds. That's it. The Deleter of Worlds. No DQ Rock says the crowd did not even chant delete LOL. Eric says finally catching this live. I mean, that's right. This is a very weird time for me to be doing No DQ Live. A rare Friday No DQ Live, and doing one here at 2 o'clock Pacific time is very bizarre. Right in the middle of my day. But I guess the later part of the day I can relax and take it easy. Wonky23 says, I'm happy the Woken Warriors are the Raw Tag Team Champions. Bradley says the SmackDown Tag Team title match felt like a regular episode of SmackDown Live. Well, we will get to that here in a few minutes. People have been waiting since 3 a.m. in India for No DQ Live, so I appreciate it. I appreciate those of you watching at weird times, tuning in. No DQ Rock says there were too many botches during the show. The Watcher says they did chant delete. Like I said, I thought I could hear scattered chants for delete a little bit, but not a whole lot. Anyways, let's move on here. Jeff Hardy versus Jinder Mahal for the U.S. title. Hardy got pyro for his entrance. Mahal was heavily booed in Saudi Arabia. I guess people in Saudi Arabia don't care for people from India that much. Who knows? We had one of the Singh brothers, I'm still not sure which one, interfered in the match to give Mahal the advantage, but that was early on. As TGS mentioned earlier, there was a botched Whisper in the Wind attempt. I posted a GIF of it, animated image, on NoDQ.com, the Twitter account, twitter.com/NoDQDOTCOM. By the way, if you're watching for the first time, thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe. I do these live videos after every single WWE event. So make sure you subscribe and please spread the word, tell a friend. And that goes for everyone watching. If you can take a moment, share this video and spread the word. Anyways, back to the review. Yeah, Mahal was just not paying attention to what was going on. Lack of ring awareness. I don't know what the deal was, but he just totally was oblivious to the fact that Jeff Hardy was jumping off the top rope. There was no connection whatsoever from the Whisper in the Wind, and Mahal just fell down and took a bump anyways. So that was bad. Hardy did pick up the win with the Swanton Bomb. I will say one positive at this point. We were an hour 15 in, and we had 4 matches. So the show was moving along fairly quickly, wasn't dragging too much. To me, that was the one positive, but overall, it felt like a glorified house show with pyro in a stadium. We had a 15-minute prayer break, and this was one of the terms for WWE doing this show. They had to take a prayer break in Saudi Arabia. Usually there's an hour-long prayer break, but I guess WWE was able to get it down to 15 minutes, and they had a couple of interviews. We had Jericho doing an interview where he said he was going to put everybody on the list. Bryan did an interview. Walter Cruz with a $2 Super Chat donation. The greatest botches of all time at this event. Well, let's talk about a match that had a very interesting botch. Versus said, "Did you pray, Aaron?" No, I was going to the bathroom and getting something to drink, pretty much. I think that's what most of us were doing. The Watcher says, "I liked that the show moved along fast. It was good, though." The Watcher says those interviews were super silent from the crowd. Well, I'm thinking that those were pre-taped and they just aired during the break, and the fans were on the concessions or whatnot. For the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Usos for the Smackdown Tag Team titles, it looked like a lot of the fans were not back from the break. There were tons of empty seats, and the crowd was very dead for this match, the crowd that was there. Speaking of dead, and by the way, before I get to that, can't say his name, PH Lovin says, "Hey Aaron, finally watching you live." Well, thank you for tuning in. Michael Cole with an epic botch here, referring to Sergeant Slaughter as the late, great Sergeant Slaughter. Wow. Now, just to clear things up, Sergeant Slaughter is alive and well. Michael Cole apologized after the match, said he made a mistake, but yeah, that's a pretty significant mistake to make, implying that somebody is dead when they're not. That was bad. I had to do a double take on that. I'm like, wait a minute, did he really just say that? Yeah, Michael Cole made quite a few mistakes on this show. He was botching over and over again on several occasions. Match itself was nothing. Same thing, heels got the heat early, baby faces make the comeback, hot tag, yada, yada, yada. But then the bad guys got the victory here. Harper and Rowan with the power bomb retained the titles, and that was that. Very basic match. TJS with a $2 Super Chat donation. How did WWE choose who ate dinner with the Saudis? TJS, you're a moderator. You should know better. Don't make me go off topic. Ask me at the end of the video. Since you are a mod, I will be more likely to see your comment later on. Let's move on here. Tag match was just there. Just a very average match at best. Walter Cruz with a $1 Super Chat donation. No comment. But thank you for the donation. Watcher says the announcers were off during that match. TJS says, "Damn my ADHD." All right. So next up we have what I personally thought was the most disappointing match of the show. Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe versus The Miz versus Finn Balor. Ladder match for the for the Intercontinental title. Now, considering the fact that Jeff Hardy retained his title, the outcome of this was even more obvious. I would have rather this match went on first, so there would have been a little bit more unpredictability, because nobody was going to care about Jinder Mahal versus Jeff Hardy anyways, and I think I would have had a sigh of relief knowing that Jeff was going to retain his title anyways. So this should have gone on before Jeff Hardy and Jinder Mahal, in my personal opinion. I think it would have added a little bit more uncertainty to the match and made it a little bit less predictable. The Miz got fireworks for his entrance, which was nice for him. Miz tried to form an alliance with Joe, and Joe was like, hell no, bitch, and beat the crap out of him. They had a really safe worked match. They didn't take a lot of big bumps. The ladder bumps were very safe compared to most ladder matches in WWE history. This match was nothing near the NXT match. So if you were expecting these guys to just have a crazy, intense battle with all these major bumps off the ladders, didn't happen. This was maybe the safest ladder match I think I've ever seen in WWE. They really didn't do a whole lot, and I was just overall disappointed with it. I thought it was a very forgettable ladder match. The one highlight for me was the finish. Balor was climbing up the ladder. Seth Rollins jumped on the top rope and bounced off and got ahead of Balor on the other side of the ladder and climbed up and grabbed the title belt. So he basically grabbed the belt and just stole it right from Finn Balor. Finn Balor was so close, but no cigar. I thought it was a great finish. That was easily the highlight of the match. William Losh with a $2 Super Chat donation. There's $1.99 because you said a cuss word. Rip YouTube money. Well, here's the thing. This video was already flagged as... It got the yellow symbol before I even started the video. I set the stream time and I set the video up, and YouTube flagged it even though they have no idea what I'm going to say. So the video was already screwed from the get-go, which happens quite often, by the way. So you gotta love YouTube. So what did you guys think about this? So obviously Finn Balor came out black attire, no rainbow colors, obvious reason with Saudi Arabia. TJS says WWE is really booking Finn to look like a geek. Apparently Finn Balor was bleeding, which I must have missed that. Couldn't have been something significant. Steve-O says, yeah, they did make Finn look dumb. Joshua says, would you have booked Finn to win? No, I'm fine with Rollins retaining. I think this match should have gone on before the Jeff Hardy versus Jinder Mahal match. Walter Cruz, $2, says, Titus had the funniest botch in history. So Walter still did not get the memo. One topic at a time. Save it for later. But thank you nonetheless for the Super Chat donation. Snipe Rider says the title hit Balor in the eye. Yeah, I guess I did miss Finn Balor bleeding. I don't know. I still don't think it was that good of a match. Blood automatically doesn't make the match good or anything. But it was all right. I just felt like they were playing it safe. Even though this was supposedly the greatest Rumble of all time. So shouldn't it be the greatest ladder match of all time? I don't know. Didn't even feel like they were trying to have a classic match or anything. It just felt very safe. Not what you would expect from a ladder match. You know, look at the NXT match. That was an all-time great ladder match, and that was friggin' NXT. This is the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. This is supposed to be the most epic thing ever. Whatever. Please say the results. Isn't that what I'm doing? I just said Seth won the match. You can also head over to NoDQ.com, by the way, for detailed results of the show. Okay, let's talk about the Daivari segment. So we had the Saudi Arabia tryout winners appear in the ring for a segment, and this led to the Daivari brothers with the return of Sean Daivari, former teammate of Muhammad Hassan and later the Great Khali, manager for the Great Khali. The two of them came out. They got huge heat. The crowd hated these guys. Saudi Arabia and Iran, they're rivals. And the Daivari brothers got beat up by the Prospects. And yeah, it was kind of an entertaining segment. At least this had some heat. A lot of the things on the show had little to no heat whatsoever. Garrett, with a $2 super chat donation, said the commentary was terrible. The commentary... See, here's the thing. These guys had a 5-6 hour show. It's a long show, so you gotta give them a little bit of a break. You gotta cut them some slack. But at the same time, yeah, they did make a lot of mistakes on this show. I mean, really, that Sergeant Slaughter one was the worst. That was just bad. TGS says, I wanted the old Muhammad Hassan theme. As do I. That would have made my night. That would have been the greatest thing ever. Walter, why was the crowd so quiet? See, I have my theories about it. I did talk about it earlier. I think it's possibly because of two things. One, a lot of casual fans there and people getting in for free or whatnot. Favors, political favors, just random people coming to the show. And then also the hardcore fans being in random places in the upper deck, not allowed to buy tickets close to the ring. I think those are probably the two most contributing factors in why there wasn't much crowd noise on this show. So let's move on here. We had AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE title. Up until the finish, I actually enjoyed this match better than WrestleMania. I thought that they were having a really solid match. I definitely like Nakamura being in the full-fledged heel role now. I love his new theme song. I think it's great. His entrance is really cool. It was before, and I think it's even cooler now. It's definitely a superstar entrance. I think it's great. The big negative here was the fact that, again, where was the cup? AJ Styles still did not learn his lesson after all this time. Nakamura hit a low blow when the referee wasn't looking, and AJ still did not have a cup. I was hoping WWE would implement the whole idea of AJ wearing a cup as part of the finish, but they did not. My idea was actually for Styles to snap and hit a low blow on Nakamura, causing a DQ, and that way Nakamura can say that he won the match, he's entitled to another match. Now that he lost via, well, he didn't lose, but he didn't win either. Basically what happened was they both got counted out, which was really lame. I think it would have been much better for Nakamura to win by DQ. That way he can argue for another match saying he technically beat AJ, and AJ just lost his temper due to getting low blowed so many times that he finally snapped. I think that would have been a lot better than doing a double count out. I think it did neither guy any favors. It was very flat. Styles beat him up with a chair and a phenomenal forearm, and yeah, I would have done it differently. So I wasn't a fan of the finish of this match. Match itself I thought was pretty good. Interesting crowd reactions. It felt like while the crowd was making some noise, it felt like at least in the beginning they were distracted. I'm not sure if there was a beach ball or something else. People were doing the wave. Could have been any number of things, but it felt like the fans were distracted throughout part of this match. Next up, we had Undertaker and Rusev in a casket match. This was pretty much, very much what you would expect. Undertaker came out, crowd was really into The Undertaker. Going back to what I said earlier, this crowd was really into the big stars. They did pop for the entrances of the big stars. Undertaker was no exception. Basic match, Rusev stalled. Aiden English was interfering. Here's the thing, though. If it's a no DQ match, why even interfere at select times? If you're Aiden English, why not just be in the ring the entire time, make it 2-on-1 if it's no DQ? To me, that made no sense, but whatever. Rusev put on the accolade and asked for the casket to be opened, but of course The Undertaker sat up. Undertaker chokeslammed Rusev, and then Rusev was dead. One chokeslam pretty much killed Rusev because Rusev never recovered after the chokeslam. Undertaker put Rusev in the casket, keep this in mind, after one chokeslam, and then took the time to chokeslam and tombstone Aiden English. All this time, Rusev was dead from one chokeslam. Undertaker put Aiden English in the casket along with Rusev, slammed the lid, and the match was over. So one choke slam was all it took to put away Rusev on this show. I'm assuming Undertaker at this stage of the game cannot pick up Rusev for the tombstone, but why not do like 2 or 3 choke slams so Rusev is decisively taken out? One choke slam I thought made Rusev look really weak. The fact that he could not recover after the time Undertaker took to beat up Aiden English with a choke slam and a tombstone, yeah, I thought that made Rusev look really weak. So I wasn't really a big fan of that, but I'm sure people that wanted to see The Undertaker one more time were happy. Undertaker got his promo, and that was that. Walter Cruz with a $2 Super Chat donation. Rusev literally buried today. This sucks. Brother Nero says, will you be at the Rusev burial? Rusev was killed off a long time ago, my friend, but people have been holding on to hope that he would live on, but it isn't to be. I'm not even sure there were that many Rusev Day chants. It felt like there were, but again, probably the people way up in the cheap seats that were angry about the whole ticketing situation. Yeah, it was all right, but I feel it could have been done better. If Rusev's going to lose, at least chokeslam the guy more than once. If Undertaker cannot pick him up for the tombstone, at least give him like 2 chokeslams, or better yet, 3. So that way Rusev can be buried with honor and dignity, I guess. Yeah, as Interstate Kyle said, the crowd only popped for the mainstream stars. All right, so here's an interesting one. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Reigns got a mixed reaction. Some cheers, some boos, lots of pyro. Similar to WrestleMania in the sense, and similar to Reigns and Goldberg for that matter, Lesnar and Goldberg, where it was just basically finishing moves or / signature moves, whatever. William Losh with $2. Jeff Meacham thought this match would make Rusev. Disagree. Yeah, it did not make Rusev. It did not do jack for Rusev. Actual Toenails says, say my name, Aaron. Well, there you go. I said it. So, yeah, Lesnar hit a bunch of F5s, didn't go for a cover. Reigns recovered, hit a bunch of Superman punches. Another F5 for a near fall. Reigns kicked out. Reigns hit 4 spears. Lesnar kicked out. There was a steel chair. And then Reigns speared Lesnar through the cage. And here's where this got completely screwed up. So I believe the finish was supposed to be them going through the cage, but Lesnar's feet would hit the floor first. I think that is what WWE wanted to do for this match, and they botched it. That's what I think happened, because the announcing when this went down was very awkward, and it was the announcers having to look at the replay and try to come up with something. It felt like the finish was botched. What actually happened was Reigns speared Lesnar through the cage, and Lesnar was just flat on the cage. His feet were on the cage, and Reigns actually hit the floor first. Reigns' body hit the floor before Lesnar's, and I think Reigns' feet hit the floor too before Lesnar. Lesnar was just flat on his back on the cage, not on the floor. Yet the ring announcer said that Brock Lesnar was the winner and that his feet hit the floor first. Total botch, total mess up. The announcers tried to say, well, Brock's body went out first, so therefore he's the winner. They tried to cover it up, but it did not work. This was a mess. This was just a complete mess of a finish. It looked cool, but the execution was totally botched. I like the idea of a spear and a controversial finish, although I'm not sure what WWE is waiting for with Roman Reigns. They aren't pulling the trigger on the guy. They keep teasing it, but they don't do it. So I have no idea what's next. It's Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe at Backlash. I assume Reigns wins, and then that's how he starts to pick up his momentum, and he faces Lesnar again. I don't know. Unless WWE's giving up on Reigns. Could be. I am at a loss for words. I would assume there's there's going to be another match with the finish design supposed to be that Reigns speared Lesnar, but Lesnar lucked into the victory. One would think there's going to be one more match. By the way, we are at 450 live viewers, so thank you very much for watching. If you're watching for the first time, check out NoDQ.com for full results. Please subscribe and tell a friend. Click on the notification bell icon so you can get the latest updates as they become available. And you can check out an image from the finish over at NoDQ.com on the results page for the Greatest Royal Rumble. TGS says hopefully the next match is no holds barred. Some people in the chat, I mean Anthony specifically here, thinks WWE is dragging out this Reigns coronation so Brock Lesnar can beat CM Punk's world title record for the modern era. Even though it's a different title, it's the Universal title, not the WWE title. But I guess, you know, Lesnar can still be the longest reigning world champion, regardless of which title it is, of the modern era. So whatever. It could very well be what WWE's doing. They want to drag out this Lesnar title reign. And yeah, I guess we'll know. If Lesnar loses immediately to anybody right after he breaks that record, then I think it's pretty obvious that that's why this title run is dragging out as long as it is. Yeah, I mean, the WWE title and the Universal title are different, but it's still a world title technically. So that very well could be what's going on here. The Robo Buck says, I doubt a crowbar could get the belt off Lesnar. That very well could be the case. So yeah, this finish was completely botched. Let's go ahead and move on now to the main event, the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. What do you guys think? I thought it was an entertaining match overall, but I certainly would not call it the greatest Royal Rumble match of all time. It's way too long. I mean, I said this years ago. 40 men. That was too long of a match. 30 is good. 40, 50, too much. Hermeng says, are you drinking beer? No, I'm drinking diet soda. I am straight edge. Speaking of CM Punk. Cindy says, R.I.P. Mike Kanellis' push. So I'm going to go over some of the highlights of this match. I did put out a list of all the entrants over at NoDQ.com from 1 to 50, everybody that entered, and then I gave some of the highlights, which I will talk about here. Big Jeffrey with $2 says, great show, 8 out of 10. So Jeffrey was very satisfied with this Greatest Royal Rumble. By the way, well, I'll talk about it here in a few minutes. I'll talk about the results of our predictions video and who won in just a few minutes here. So who won the Greatest Royal Rumble? If you don't know, you'll have to wait a few minutes. If you cannot wait, head over to NoDQ.com and you can find out. Sin Cara was the first person eliminated. So Greg Cherry, any Wrestling Trivia Challenge prospects out there, pay attention because I very well may ask that question on a future Trivia Challenge video. Sin Cara was the first person eliminated from the Greatest Royal Rumble. Daniel Bryan was number 1. Dolph Ziggler, Mr. Record Scratch. Why he still has that, I have no idea. He was number 2. Mike Kanellis, as Cindy mentioned, was basically in the match for about 3 seconds. He came in and was immediately eliminated by Mark Henry. Poor Mike Kanellis. This was his big return to WWE television. The guy even got a tan, and he still got eliminated in 3 minutes. No Ty Dillinger at number 10, so much for that gimmick. I think myself and Greg and Interstate Kyle, we were all in agreement that it would have been cool if WWE just made that a gimmick every single Rumble match for as long as he's in the company. Ty Dillinger got number 10. I know it's silly and over the top, but I think it would just be a funny running gag. WWE already gave up on that. Oh well. Bryan and Ziggler worked together to get rid of Henry. Kofi Kingston had his big Rumble moment. Not as spectacular as other years, but it was still cool. Kofi was hanging on to Xavier's back on the apron to avoid elimination. Then he jumped off of Xavier's back to do a big splash. That was cool. Somebody's got to have like a highlight reel of all of Kofi's big moments. Jay with a $5 super chat donation. So is Roman involved with two storylines? Does the storyline continue with Lesnar and the one with Joe is a one-off match? I think the Joe match is just a one-off. Just a one-off match, and then, you know, Joe's on Smackdown. So I think that's just a one-off. Something for Roman to look strong again after losing. If Roman loses that match, then I will really, I keep saying that now, but I will really be surprised if Roman doesn't beat Joe at Backlash. Walter with a $2 super chat donation. I like how they booked Daniel Bryan for this. So yeah, Daniel Bryan was number 1, and he broke the record. Daniel Bryan officially broke, I believe, Rey Mysterio's record for being the longest participant in a Royal Rumble match. I'm not sure if this was the longest match in WWE history, though. I think the intervals were about 60 seconds, 60 to 90 seconds. The match did not go as long as I thought it would, so I'm not sure if it broke the all-time record. Big Jeffrey says it was 1 hour and 16 minutes, which I believe is shorter than the Raw Gauntlet match from a few months back, but somebody may have to help me, or unless that was Daniel Bryan's time. How long was the actual match? Does anybody know the actual length of the Royal Rumble match, if that broke the record? No DQ Rock says 76 minutes. I'm not sure what that number is. You got to specify what the number is, so I know. Jeffrey says that was Daniel Bryan's time. All right, so thank you for that. Anyways, some of the other highlights from the match. We had a few NXT guys show up in this match. We had a sumo wrestler. His name was Hiroki Sumi. He was in there for a couple of minutes. A few cruiserweights were in this match. Tony Nese was in it. The guy that makes fun of Enzo, or does the series version of Enzo's promo, Drew Gulak, was in it. The NXT guys, Tucker Knight was in it. Roderick Strong was in it, which was cool, but the crowd, there was no reaction whatsoever for Roderick Strong. You could hear a pin drop when he came out. That was sad. You know, in NXT, the guy would be over like pancakes, like New Day pancakes, but yeah, here in Saudi Arabia, not one damn was given about Roderick Strong. I felt bad for the guy. Like I said, the crowd reacted to the stars. So I guess Roderick Strong is not a star. I don't know what else to say. Strong did look really strong, though. I will say that. Elias came out, sang for his entrance, and Elias looked really good in this match. He had a fairly long run. I think he was in there for about 30 minutes. Kurt Angle had a decent run. He wasn't in there too long. I think like 15, 20 minutes. He eliminated a few people. Big E had offered pancakes tonight. Orton came out. Orton had a fairly good showing. He eliminated some people and lasted until the end. Corbin, same thing. Had a relatively good run. Eliminated some people. Lasted towards the end. And then the funniest moment of the show. This was like the all-time highlight reel for botches. This is going to be when the guy from Botchamania does his next video, when he does a new intro. You know this is going to make it. This is like Shockmaster level Botchamania right here. Titus O'Neil running to the ring, and as he was running to the ring, he tripped and then slid under the ring for his entrance. I cannot even keep a straight face while talking about it. That was the funniest thing I have seen in years. That was one for the ages. The Titus slide. Titus slide? World slide? That was great. And Michael Cole was having the time of his life making fun of the poor guy. Titus's botch was seen worldwide. Lashley dropping Big Cass on his head. Our botch of the night. Yeah, so let's talk about that. Bobby Lashley came out. He had a fairly good showing for a while, but then he almost killed poor Big Cass. Lashley went to pick up Cass for his vertical suplex, and then he couldn't get him up the first time. He did it a second time, couldn't do it again, but felt, you know what, I got to just drop the guy. I can't do this a third time. So he dropped him, but literally dropped the... I shouldn't be laughing about this. He dropped the poor guy on his head, and the announcers were calling it a brain buster. I really should not be laughing. This could have been really serious. Oh, man, that was brutal. That was just brutal. Yeah. I don't even know what else to say about it. It was very nasty looking. And the commentators called it a brain buster. Everyone's still on Titus. I mean, I feel bad for Titus most of all, just because that botch like the Shockmaster is going to last forever. We'll never forget about it. I'm Number Superman says, I enjoyed Corey Graves' commentary. I thought it was funny. TGS says, do you think they had jet lag? Probably, but a lot of these guys should be used to it with the amount of traveling they do. Maybe not Lesnar because he rarely travels, but most of these guys, they're used to it. They went to South Africa. They went back. I mean, they travel around the world all the time. So if anybody would be used to it, it would be the WWE talent. Walter Cruz, $2. Titus thought he was playing baseball. Yeah, pretty much. So some of the other highlights of this match, it came down to basically the top stars. Most of the lower card guys were in the first 30 entrants. All the lower card NXT surprises. Rey Mysterio was a nice surprise in this match, although we knew he was going to be in it. Khali was in it, got eliminated right away by, I believe, Lashley and Strowman, but I'm not sure on that. I'll have to look at my notes here. I do think it was Strowman and Lashley that eliminated Khali. El Scorpio, $2. If only they had a camera under the ring for Titus. I know, right? This would have been the time. Imagine the camera angle of Titus sliding into the ring. That would have been great. William Losh with $2. They wasted Chris Jericho in the top of his game. Yeah, right? Jericho was coming off of a 5-star match earlier this year, and yeah, it felt like he didn't really do much in this match. He was number 50, which was one of my Royal Rumble pool numbers, but of course he did not win. Jericho was in there for a couple of minutes, and that was that. He really was an afterthought almost. Straight Edge X says, where can I buy that shirt you're wearing? This is from ProWrestlingTees.com, from their Pro Wrestling Crate. Go over to ProWrestlingCrate.com, use NoDQ as the code to get 20% off your first order. So there you go. I got a plug-in for them. Power Spy 1 Games with a $2 donation. Titus needs to walk out with a Stormtrooper helmet. Poor guy. He's never gonna be able to let this one go. This is gonna be, like I said, for the ages. Botchamania permanent intro clip. John says Khali looks like he pooped himself. All right. Interesting comment there. But anyways, we were down to Shane McMahon, Strowman, Big Cass, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens. We did have Kevin Owens and Jericho go at it. No reaction from the crowd, by the way. The crowd was dead for most of this match, which was sad. They really only popped for the entrances of the big stars. And beyond that, they really didn't make much noise during this match. And there were no double duties. It should be noted that nobody did double duty. So no Undertaker in this match, or no Cena, no Rollins. They had all new people in this 50-man Rumble match. So I guess the idea was to get as many people on the show as possible. Why not? WWE got a massive payday for this show. I've heard rumors about, well, first of all, there's a 10-year deal that WWE has. And I believe the number floating around is for the 10-year deal, not this one show. The number going around is like $200 million. I believe that's for the entire 10-year deal. Yeah, $200 million for one show sounds ridiculously high. So I don't think that that's completely accurate. We should know in the summer the official number should be coming out this summer, how much WWE is getting. But even $20 million for one show is significant, very significant. I mean, that's right up there with WrestleMania. And the big difference is for WrestleMania, it's WWE taking a risk. Even though WrestleMania is a brand name, there's no guarantee WWE is going to make the big bucks. You don't know if the fans are going to buy tickets for sure. This was a sold show. This was guaranteed money for WWE. The Saudi Arabia government was responsible for getting people into the stadium. WWE just got the big check, and they went all out for this. We got the pyro. They brought in all these talents. Nobody did double duty. So hats off to WWE, although it's been a very controversial decision online, with all the negative feedback about women not being allowed to perform. WWE, there's been the debate, is WWE doing the right thing here? Is it being progressive by working in this country? All these different opinions about it. It has generated controversy. But that's a whole other topic for another video. We still got to finish this review here. Shane McMahon did the coast to coast on Strowman, but would later pay for it. Shane jumped up to the top rope again. Strowman had recovered and literally tossed Shane off the top rope through I believe the American announce table, and that was the end of Shane McMahon from the Royal Rumble. Whatever happened to Shane's hernia surgery, by the way? Haven't heard anything about that. Big Cass eliminated Daniel Bryan, so Bryan was almost the runner-up. I think he was the next to last person eliminated. Bryan was eliminated, leading it to Strowman versus Cass. Some people are unhappy about this. I'm fine with it because it's Bryan versus Cass at Backlash. Cass is the heel. Cass got some heat on Bryan by eliminating him. I like it. I'm cool with it. I wasn't expecting Bryan to win this match, and I think the fact that he broke the record says a lot. And it's interesting because Bryan, for all this talk that WWE was going to play it safe with Bryan, he went out there and performed for over an hour, just a month after returning to in-ring action, less than a month. So yeah, Bryan had a great showing. He looked strong. He didn't need to win this match. Bryan broke a record for the longest performance in a Royal Rumble match. But anyways, it was Braun Strowman that eliminated Big Cass to win the Greatest Royal Rumble. There was a trophy and belt presentation. Vince was in the ring with a Saudi Arabian official. They presented Strowman with the trophy and the Greatest Royal Rumble Championship belt. They should have just said Strowman's getting a title opportunity at SummerSlam. That would have been cool, but they didn't do it. Whatever. So the big question now is WWE giving up on Roman Reigns? Is it going to be Strowman versus Lesnar, and WWE is going to pretend that No Mercy never happened? We're just going to ignore that match from history, and WWE is going to have Strowman beat Lesnar and be the one to finally conquer the beast. That is the big question here. Overall, I did enjoy the show. It did, for a 5-hour show, I thought it did flow pretty well. There were a lot of botches. It was very standard booking, average match quality. I don't think there was much replay value. I really have no desire to ever watch this show again. Really anything from this show. For people out there that have not seen it and you don't want to sit through a 5-hour show, I would say check out the cage match just for the controversial finish, and then watch the Rumble match itself. Everything else, the ladder match was even forgettable. I think you could skip it. Everything else I thought was very skippable. Maybe the opening match with Cena versus Triple H was fun in terms of it being an old style Hogan versus Warrior type match. You might find that entertaining. Everything else to me was just okay. So rating for this show, I give it a C. Just a show. I mean, wasn't terrible, wasn't great, just a show. Hamp Connor with $2. Seems like Mania was just a build-up for this show. Well, I felt like Raw and Smackdown this week were just build-ups for this show. I'm seeing a lot of C ratings here, 6 out of 10. Let's see what the No DQ Galaxy on NoDQ.com, what they thought about this show. I'm going to look up the poll results. see what the approval rating is for this show. Did you enjoy the 2018 Greatest Royal Rumble, I should say? 59% yes, 41% no. So not a very good rating for the show. 59% approval rating. If we're going by Rotten Tomatoes criteria, that's rotten. That's a thumbs down if we're going by that. I just thought it was very average, and nothing in terms of replay value. But that's all I got. Greatest Royal Rumble. I'm not sure who watching this video has watched the show, or if they were just waiting to see what I had to say. That's my opinion on it. See show, and we'll see what the fallout is. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com. I do have the full results up, including the order of all the entrants and the notes from the show. Mohammed Hassman says this channel sucks, and you are banned because I do not like to be criticized. I'm a jerk, so ban that guy. You must not talk crap about me. That is not allowed. This is not a democracy. DJ Whitty with a $2 super chat donation. So what does that belt mean? Defended once a year? I have no idea. I mean, it could if there is a 10-year deal. Imagine if WWE actually decides to make this an annual thing. That would be really weird considering we already have the regular Royal Rumble. I would not be a fan of that personally. My feeling is I don't know what the belt is for, or excuse me, championship. I don't know, because you already had the trophy. Why not just give a title opportunity at SummerSlam? I don't know. I am a dictator. I am Dictator Rift. If you say this channel sucks, you are banned. No questions asked. And even if you're being sarcastic, you're still banned because I'm a jerk. But anyways, that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com. If you're watching for the first time, I hope you enjoyed the video. We got content coming out on a daily basis. The NoDQ review will be up tomorrow. Myself and the panel, we will talk more about the Greatest Royal Rumble. Jeff Meacham hopefully will be on. Virtue, Greg Cherry will get our thoughts on the show. Everybody will discuss the Greatest Royal Rumble. Anything I did not talk about today, I'm sure we will cover. And that's it. So I will see you guys this Monday for another edition of No DQ Live. Everyone take care.